Going on? What's going on? I know you guys are used to hearing the intro. I'm gonna give you the intro anyway and say hi after. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of a Stoked podcast. Yes, we're doing it a little earlier. We talked about this before. Special 7 p.m. time. This is just for this week or until the Patriots play on Thursday. The people who know me know I don't play about my football. But I'm actually really excited about this show because this show is a gentleman that I've just become acquainted with within like the last year. Yeah, we an hour early. Yes, we are. We are an hour early. Um, but gentleman, I've just been become acquainted and extremely talented young man. But we're gonna get to that in a second. But first, welcome. Who is this? Must got chicken to cook. You know me, Go Bills. Ugh, I ain't talking to you. Um, but yeah, welcome to another episode of Stoke Podcast. I am Javon Stokes, CEO, owner of Visually Stoked Media, as well as artist, writer, creator of the self-published comic book Heat and Strong. Right now, thank you for joining us. I don't know where Jamari is. Hopefully, he'll pop up. He probably forgot. I don't know who this Bills Mafia person is. I think it's probably my cousin. So I'm just gonna ignore all this propaganda. Um, once again, I want to thank you guys for showing up. Uh, because we are, I want to get I want to get our guest in. I'm gonna jump right into it because I want him to have time to talk and definitely look at his artwork. I did have some things that I want to plug, but they can wait. They can always wait. So let's get into it. Tonight's guest is an incredibly talented and accomplished artist. Based out of Connecticut with a BA in fine arts, he's cultivated a long-standing career as a visual artist with a focus in illustration and painting. He's been establishing his name in the arts world for a while now, with multiple beautiful pieces of art sold and in display in various places. His work is powerful, organic, and grounded in the Black culture and background. Let's give a stoked round of applause to Andre Rochester.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Thank you
What's
for
going
having
on,
me.
brother? Absolutely. Welcome. You look good and comfortable right now.
Yeah, I'm on my couch right now. I'm in the living room chilling, man. I'm in my
Okay, all
soft
right.
clothes. Glad that this camera is only showing me for from the chest up, because
Hey, listen, I'm in my office, which is my studio,
yeah,
and my studio is never clean. So I'm
hey,
very happy that this is just a
well,
very
listen,
small
if the
framework.
studio is clean, you ain't working in
You
it.
right, you absolutely right, and I stay working. Once again, I want to once again I want to congratulate you on your the new addition to your family coming up,
Thank
your
you.
upcoming new addition.
Thank
We're gonna get into it in a minute because you and I had a really really deep conversation about being able to do work and also being a father. So we'll get into that. But like I said, welcome. And first I want to get into your art. So usually when I talk to a creative person, I start off with a very similar question. And the question is, when did your love of art begin?
you. I mean, that's an easy one. I was a little kid. I was about 7 years old, something like that. And my dad bought me my first sketchbook to kind of keep me busy, keep me occupied while he got a little rest when I was with him, because he
Okay.
worked really hard. He used to work a lot of overtime, and so I'd be with him on weekends and stuff. And he had to keep me occupied, so I wasn't getting into nothing. So I started with that sketchbook, and then I remember going to Wadsworth Atheneum like really young and seeing the artwork in there. And there's this Salvador Dali painting that they have in the Avery Gallery, Uh, and I actually remixed it in high school. I put my own face in it. It's the one with I think it's called Apparition, the apparition of a dog in a fruit dish or something like that. You know how Dolly has all these images on top of images and stuff.
Right,
And I was
right,
just
right.
fascinated with it. And so I tried to make it my own. And then I did that, I think maybe my junior year of high school or something like that. So, I first fell in love with art as a child.
Okay. Was it any particular art form that you fell in love with first?
I started off drawing like most people, drawing images out of magazines or drawing cartoon characters and stuff like that, and just kind of developing my drawing skills. So, believe it or not, I can actually draw much better than I can paint, which is why I paint more.
Oh, really? Really? I've never heard that reasoning. Like I'm better at one, so I do the other.
Well, painting is a challenge. It's always a problem that you have to solve with painting. With drawing, I mean, it comes to me very easily. I mean, it's still going to take a long time to get it done and get it right, but the painting is a lot harder to maneuver that brush than it is to maneuver a pencil. You have a lot of control when you're working with that pencil, but with the brush, you're dealing with a soft tip. You're dealing with having to wet the brush before you use it, and you're
Yeah.
using a different type of medium and all that. Now you got to mix and whatnot, and so there's more of an experience that I have with painting that I'm just drawn to.
Yeah, those that know me know I hate painting. I love paintings. I love paintings. Like I love seeing a really good painting, but man, if you ask me to do one, it's going I can do it. I have done it before. I've
Mm,
actually done a few paintings, maybe about 3 or 4,
mm,
maybe 5. I've done 3 or 4 4 or 5 paintings. And I think they look okay. I think they look
mm,
good, but like you said, there's a level of control
mm,
that you just don't have. And I'm a control freak.
mm,
So, for me to give up the pencil and the pen and honestly like the computer pencil right now
mhm.
to do a painting, it would stress me out. My mom was a painter. She
Yeah,
was an extremely talented painter. She was so good. And I know she tried her hardest to get
I
me.
actually I remember your mom. I met her when I used to work at Jerry's Artorama. I sold her plenty of art supplies.
We both was funding Jerry's Artorama for a very long time. But yeah, she was very much a pure painter. She loved
Mm,
painting. I think she loved painting more than any other type of artwork.
mm.
But as for you, because I'm sure we'll talk in and out about my mom, because that was, I believe, our connection point. Like you knew my
Yeah,
mom,
yeah,
so like that's where we kind of connected.
yeah.
When did you realize, like let's be real, there are a lot of people who like to draw,
Hmm.
but that might not necessarily be good at it, or
Hmm.
like to do artwork, but that might not be good at it, but they do it because it's like an expression
Yep.
and it's just how they feel. But when did you realize you had like actual talent?
I would say in high school because that's when I got exposed to like different types of art forms, and I had opportunities to do projects that were public. Like I worked on multiple murals while I was in high school. I took some painting classes. I mean, of course, I had art classes in school. I was involved in like a graphic design program that was hosted by Catholic Charities. I was in this organization called Youth Opportunities Hartford, which was actually the reason why I got involved in so many mural projects at first. I did one with Catholic Charities,
Okay.
but painting class, and then there was a summer program that I did with Youth Opportunities Hartford, and I think I did like maybe 2 or 3 murals through that program alone one summer. And so I started to realize that this is something that I can actually do. It's something that I'm good at, and of course, it helps to get a great response from your peers when you're in school. Folks know, oh, well, that's Andre. He could draw. He's really good at this, right? I was drawing my classmates in math class. Like I was that person. Don't fall asleep in class because I'm gonna draw you. You're gonna end up in my notebook. And there were a couple of times
Okay.
I gave the drawing to somebody, and so just getting that feedback in school and just that positive reinforcement when it came to doing art, that's what really led me to believing that I could make something of myself with it.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, man. It's like people find that one thing that you do
Mhm.
and like that's it. Like
Yep.
even to this day, it's like Javon, that's the artist. I'm
Hmm.
like, man, I can do a lot of other things. Nah, nah, that's the artist. But you know
Yeah.
what though? The fact that if you can be remembered for anything, I mean, it's a blessing.
At the very least, let it be your talent that you're remembered for, right? And
Right.
let it be some kind of impact that you've used that talent to have. I do other things besides art, but like you just said, folks they'll gravitate toward you for that one thing that stands out the most about you. And so, over time, I've learned to kind of lean into that. You know what? Yes, I am Andre, that artist. I changed my name on Facebook to Dre B Painting.
Ray B. Painting.
When I pledged my fraternity in college, they nicknamed me Picasso. Like I embraced all of that, and so I learned that there's this thing that I have that I should be putting out there and that I should be promoting because it's a huge part of myself. It's something that I'm really really connected to on a very personal level. It's not just a thing that I do. It's not a hobby. It actually has meaning to
Right. I mean, it is a beautiful thing when you find your calling.
me.
Um, hold on a second.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to find your calling because so many people in this world don't.
Yeah.
And they go their whole lives not knowing what their talent is,
Hmm.
what they're supposed to do
Yeah.
on this planet. And like, I'm always happy when I see somebody go, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
Like, and this is, and I'm almost, and once I saw your work, I was like, man, I gotta get this dude on my show. And I'm sad that it took so long to do it, but it's, I need a secretary. I've been telling people since I started doing this podcast thing, I'm like, I need help. I need a
Things
secretary.
happen when it's time to it, and I totally feel you on needing a secretary, bro. I need an admin right now that
Bro, you're gonna need more than the admin in
unfortunately
about
I
nine
can't pay
months.
for.
In about
Yeah,
9 months, you're gonna need more than the
I know.
admin.
I might have to find me a virtual assistant to start taking care of some things for me because it's
Bro,
been
let
getting
me
very
tell
busy
you.
lately.
Let me tell you. So on in your bio, you
Uh-huh.
say you got a degree in illustration.
Yep. Well, degree.
What
I have a studio art degree. So
studio art degree?
just being honest, yeah, I studied illustration at UConn. I finished literally all of my requirements for my degree, except for like maybe a couple. I think a couple writing courses or something like that. But
Okay.
I ended up owing the school money, so I had to leave. I couldn't get it paid, and then fast forward 7 years later, I'm finally at a point where I can afford to go back to school, and so I ended up still needing those requirements. They weren't available to me. And so it was either I wait 2 or 3 years to be able to take these classes because I couldn't take them all at once, or
Okay.
I go back and find another way to do it. So I did graduate from Charter Oak State College with a BA in studio art.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Hey,
So
what's up,
easy
Ryan?
made it happen.
Ryan's another talented artist, man. He was on the show 2 weeks ago. Great guy
Wow,
too.
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. He's a great artist, great artist. I think he paints too. I'm not sure if it's digital or I can't remember if it's digital or
Well,
traditional.
thanks for
But
tuning in.
anyway, yeah. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so what made you want to go to UConn? With when you're
So
trying to do art? Because I was always like when I graduated, I wanted to go to a school that had some sort of art focus, and I
mhm.
never looked at UConn as one.
so UConn actually does have a school of fine art.
Oh,
They
okay.
even have a puppetry school there. Uh, their art program there is actually pretty good. I learned a lot from their art program. I had a great experience with them. And then, of course, there's University of Hartford, which has the Hartford Art School, right? And then there's a few other art schools that are, relatively good in Connecticut and in this region. And basically, what it boiled down to was I had to go where the money reside, man. I had to go where I got the financial aid and the grants and all that stuff. And so, for
I hear
UConn,
you.
they gave me the most money,
Hey man,
so
some of them art
I went there.
schools are so expensive, man,
Yeah, I
for
mean these
no
private
reason.
institutions are super expensive.
No
I got
reason, dude.
accepted into University of Hartford, but I didn't have enough money to pay the remainder after the scholarship they gave me. So, you know, UConn, I think we only had to pay like $500 out of pocket for my first. my first year at UConn. That's
Oof.
how much financial aid they gave me. So it was a pretty nice package, right? So I ended up going there and stayed there until until I had that little debt I couldn't pay.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm not jealous. It was a lot
well,
more than that, boy.
the
SCAD is no joke,
financial aid
man.
went down and it went from grants to loans pretty quickly. So don't
Yeah,
be too jealous because I'm
man.
still paying
School.
off school. So
I ain't even gonna talk about that. Listen, that's the devil.
yeah, that's another
It's the
conversation.
devil. Uh, so so now you went basically when you went to school
Mhm.
for your degree. What were you thinking of doing? Were you thinking I want to be a painter, or were you looking at more illustration?
So what I should have did was follow my heart and do the thing that I knew I should have been doing all along, which is painting. I started off as a graphic design major.
Okay.
I was pressured to do something with computers, right? I was told do something with computers because that's where the money is, and it's not a lie. I mean, graphic design is a great career. Just wasn't a career for me. So I,
Right, right.
I realized pretty quickly, yeah, this ain't it, and I ended up changing my major to illustration in my sophomore year because I can get the best of both worlds. I can still apply design principles to illustration. I can still get my hands dirty. I needed to touch the medium that I was working in, and I
Mm,
didn't want to be in front of a computer all the time. Oddly enough, graphic design is also a way that I made a little money during my time in college. I did a lot
okay.
of party flyers and stuff like that,
There you
especially in
go.
the Black Greek community. So
Hey,
it had its use.
how. Hey, listen, everything happens for a reason,
Hey,
man. Well, if you didn't do that, maybe you don't have that little bit of cash. I hear you.
mhm.
I hear you. It's funny. You and I did the opposite thing.
uh,
So I went to school and I was going to do sequential art. I was going to do comic books.
what?
Yeah,
And look at you now.
SCAD. It- it's so weird. I went to
Yeah.
SCAD to do comics, and then I
Wow.
was like, nah, there ain't no money in comics. Let me figure out what to do with these computers, and
Mm,
then did 3D animation, and then I get out of school and I realize how hard the road is
mm,
for animation. And so, I'm doing other things now,
yeah.
full-time job, but I went back to my love, which was comic books.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad I did because I did enjoy 3D animation.
Yeah,
But
I used to fight with my painting teacher because at the time I had it in my mind. I'm here for graphic design. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. And
and they was like, nah,
she saw something in me that I didn't want to admit was there. and and now I'm a painter and I don't even do illustration. Like I paint. Like that's what I do. Strictly canvas stuff and do some murals here and there and yeah, that's my focus. So
okay.
she knew before I did.
They always do though.
Yeah,
They
well,
see
that's
it,
their
man.
job, right?
Yeah,
If they
right.
think you gonna recognize there's something about this person, and I need to push them in this direction because that's where that's where they're gonna find their way.
That's true, man. They always know. And then mad competition. Yes, there's a ton of competition. Painting has always been like an interesting career path for me. Because I can never I know my mom did it and she got a
Mm,
lot of commissions and she did a lot of different things, but my mom would jump around the different mediums. Like she would do murals and stuff like
yeah.
that, and that's how she would get paid and everything. When did you realize, because I know you and I talked about this and you were telling me how you were doing this is you full time. When did you realize that this can be a full-time gig and I'm going to do this?
So when I started to look at like all of the stuff that I was doing, I don't just paint. Like I can teach classes, I can curate, I can plan events and things like that. I can do speaking engagements and all the stuff that just kind of focuses all around art. And I looked at all the stuff that I've done over the last, at the time over the last 15 years, and I looked at what some of my friends are doing. Like I know people who are full time artists. I know quite a few people who are full time artists, and some of them actually do live completely off of their paintings and drawings. And so after kind of assessing that and kind of looking at where I am and what I've done and all the all the things that I've been able to accomplish, it just made sense. Like, why is it that everybody else thinks that I'm doing this full time already, and I haven't just taken the leap? And then I got what happened last year was I got a gig to curate, and that gig paid me about half of the amount of money I needed to save in order to leave my job and be straight for a few months. So that being the largest paycheck that I ever got off anything art related since I left college. And really, what it required me to do was to call on people that I know, present them with a paid opportunity to participate in this particular event. And basically, I had to set it up. I had to set up an event. That's literally all I did. I curated a virtual gallery and some performances and keynote speaker and a couple panels. And I realized that if I can do this for them, I can do this for other people. I can plan events like this. It's not just curating in a gallery. This now I'm curating like a conference, because this is essentially what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on in the year, I made my decision at that point. Like, I'm gonna figure my way up out of this corporate job. Because I had the money sitting there. I'm like, okay, well, one of two things can happen. I go and spend this money because I'm comfortable anyway and I have a great job. I'm making a nice salary or whatever. Or I can really sit down, make a plan for myself, and figure out what it is I actually need in order to leave this job that I don't even belong in anyway. And so I made the decision to make my plan. As I'm, working this plan, it went from, oh, I'm going to leave my job in August of 2022 to New Year's Eve 2021 will be my final day working in corporate America. And the reason why I shortened that time was, one, I had the money that I needed to save up. I had no excuse. And two, I ended up turning down a job because I had to work. But that job, that little gig would have paid me the same amount of money I would have made at work for
Mm.
the time that I'd be working on the project. That math ain't math. You mean to tell me I can go do something that I enjoy
Mm.
for like a week or two
Mm.
and still make the same money? But I'm turning this down because I have some obligations to my corporate job that didn't care about me anyway, doing work that I don't care about.
Don't care about.
So at that moment, when I realized that that's what I did, I said, man, I can't do this no more. I can't take it no more. New Year's Eve, that's it. And so
Hey
January
man,
1st of this year, first day as a full-time artist.
I'm not gonna say that I'm not jealous, but I'm just gonna roll my eyes. No, I'm just playing. Hey, let's welcome in Jamari. He's late as always.
Yeah, what's
He's
up, brother? How
pushing
you doing?
keys in the
How
he's
you doing
pushing
today?
keys in the keys.
All right.
Um, Jamari is a co-host of a Stoked podcast. He's a teacher and a writer. For those
Okay.
that don't know, but yeah, man, like that's a beautiful thing. Like for an artist, it literally is a dream of so many artists
Mhm.
to be able to do the thing that they love doing
Yeah.
and get paid for it enough to survive. Not even survive, to live.
Mm-hmm.
Like to live. Like cause you could work to survive, but that's never like comfortable. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like that's never comfortable. Like I personally would love to get there, but I got kids and the mortgage.
Yeah.
I'm get there eventually. Like I've been telling my wife,
You do it.
I had a 5-year plan. I'm like 2 years in.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me about your plan.
Yeah,
I
my plan
remember that.
it's going, it's moving, you're doing all right. You're doing all
Your
right.
time is coming, bro.
Bro, listen, man. I'm gonna keep working until I tell people I'm gonna keep working until I ain't gotta introduce myself no more.
Mm,
But we gonna get there. But
there you
that's
go.
a beautiful thing for you to be able to, for the dream to realize, right?
Mhm.
You're no longer beholden, like you said, to the corporate job, because the corporate job is comfortable.
It's
It
very
can be
comfortable.
real comfortable.
That's the trap.
Right,
The
right.
comfort,
That's the
the
trap. The
benefits, the
yes,
money. I mean, let's keep it real.
the
Money's
consistent
good.
money.
It's
Yeah, the
consistent.
consistent money. Yeah.
It's consistent. In my situation, I was making the most amount of money I've ever made in my life.
Mm,
And for some people, that's it's different levels, right? But for me, I had reached a level of income that I told myself going into that company, once I make this amount, I'm gonna start planning my way out, because I don't want to get complacent. I still have a dream and I still have time on my side. I'm still
right.
relatively young, right?
Right.
And so I reached that level of income a little earlier than I expected to. And I saw myself starting to kind of give into that comfort. And I'm like, whoa, hold up.
It's
I
seductive.
like I like this,
Mm,
but God gave me something that I need to use. And so I had to, really kind of check myself. And the truth is, if you apply yourself enough with the thing that you're passionate about, you'll get the money that you want and need in order to live a comfortable life. You just have to figure out how to make it work. That's all.
yeah.
And so, not to say that I figured it out, because I certainly haven't figured it out. I just had a plan and stuck with it, and it worked out. And then, because I made myself available, I was able to meet with people that wanted to work with me, but I never had a chance to.
Right.
Or folks were waiting for me because, like I said, folks already thought I was doing this full time, because I never talk about my job like that. I was always talking about being an artist. I'm an artist. That's who I am.
Right.
It's been my identity. It's my brand. It's,
Yeah.
that's who Andre is, right? And so when the time come for me to make myself available for using my gifts, um, people were waiting for me. They came to me. Like, most of my opportunities have come to me. And I'm blessed in that regard, because that doesn't happen for everybody. And I realize that. But I also showed that I'm putting in work. I showed that I have a passion for this, and I showed that I can be counted on to make something of myself doing this, and I can help people by doing it. I put service to other people as a part of my business plan. So, that's
Right.
another thing that helps.
And they always say, what, and I'm gonna get I'm gonna get my religion is gonna show here, my spirituality is about to show. But they always say that the the blessing that God has for you can't be denied. Like, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And can't nobody stop it.
Yeah.
If you just keep working towards it, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing for you to work towards it and to take a leap. I always reference the Steve Harvey clip where he talks
Mhm.
about how, at some point you just
Yeah.
got to jump.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Dude, I watch it like once a month, like,
Seeing
no joke.
seeing clips like that, and seeing things pop up on my timeline with all these inspirational quotes and videos and clips and all these things. That stuff comes to you for a reason. That's a sign that your mindset needs to be turned towards that direction. Otherwise, it wouldn't be broadcasted in front of you. That, to me, is God talking and saying, "Look, I got you. You just need to
Mm,
be willing to do what you need to do to get what
hmm.
I got."
Yeah, yeah. Like,
It's waiting for you. Go after it. It's here
to
for
for
you.
for me, when I feel like God talks to me, and I've said this before, when I do my Comic Cons
Hmm.
and somebody comes up to me and they just give me effusive praise, like,
Mm,
that's where I feel like God is talking to me and saying, keep going.
yeah,
Like, you might be tired, you might not feel like this is it, maybe you're not feeling like it's working,
yeah.
just keep going. I got you. You
And
can't stop.
you never know who paying attention to you.
Bruh, you never
If,
know. And
if,
the
if
thing is,
anything, I've learned that this year.
if you stop,
Hmm.
nothing will happen
Yep.
because you're stopping it. And
Hmm.
a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people stop and they're like, well, I'll come back to it. And
Mm.
I'm like, if you stop, and I'm gonna call Jamari on this because we talk about this on this show all the time. Jamari is an incredible writer,
Mm.
and Jamari is a lot of times he wants to wait for the right moment in the right like, all right, I'm ready, like this is it. And I try to tell him like, yo, just do it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
ain't no
saying?
right
Like,
moment.
yeah, the right moment will never come.
Right
It
moment
will
is now.
never
It's
come,
on your
man.
mind.
Yes, yes. And
That's real
he
talk.
I'm so waiting for the world to see Jamari's talent. Like I'm gonna say this live because I want Jamari to be able to come back to this clip. I'm so ready for the world to see Jamari's writing talent on a larger scale. Like I'm ready for y'all to know what I know. And I'm gonna push this man. If I gotta do it publicly and privately, I'm gonna push him and do it. Because
Uh-oh.
I've been doing
Question
it
for
I've been doing it publicly and privately, man. Like, peer pressure is a so. But yeah, man, like those times, and I'm sure you've had times where you're like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or
yeah,
roadblocks or
absolutely.
whatever. Can you give us one instance where like this felt like I'm not supposed to be doing this, and then what turned it around for you?
There was a time when I was let's see, what's a good one? What's a good one? This is actually long. This is long before this year. There was a time when I had back to back things fall through, and folks didn't know this, but these things that didn't work out meant a lot to me. I mean, like a lot. There was a collective that I was a part of, and things just started to kind of fall apart with the collective. And without going too deep into what the issues were, it ended up with me having a falling out with someone who I, to this day, still consider to be family. Well,
Hmm.
we get along or not, they're family. If I call you family, you stuck with me.
Right.
That's just how I am. And that was never my intention for that to happen, but I realized that when it went down, I needed to leave the group. And after I left, they never met again. And so that kind of hurt for me to see that happened. And I
Hmm.
sometimes blamed myself for that collective not working out. Then there was an opportunity where I was going to be given a pretty large budget to develop some programming that would have happened throughout the Hartford area, and I created a proposal, even presented that proposal, and this would have been like my first time ever working on something that was that big, like ever.
Hmm.
And it was something I was very nervous about, but I knew that I could create something that would be substantial and impactful. And so I presented my pitch. They told me it was accepted and everything. And then at the last minute, I was told that the funds were no longer available for me and that they were going to go a different direction.
Hmm.
After I was almost pretty much promised that this opportunity was mine to have and that this work would be done by me. And so that's number two.
Hmm.
Number three, um, there was another group that I was involved in, and it was just starting. This wasn't something that had been around for a while at all. Actually, it came to be after the city of Hartford had made some changes, and unfortunately, the department that supported the arts was cut due to some of those changes. And I saw an opportunity to organize artists and get folks to kind of focus inward and become their own resource, and kind of collectively find ways to work with one another so that we can build up this community, in the absence of the support that we had lost.
Hmm.
And while trying to organize that group, it just didn't work out. We had the right people involved, but we didn't have the right level of motivation and desire to do this, quite frankly. And so it just didn't work out. And I'm not mad at anybody about that. It just didn't work. And
Right.
it it hurt because I put myself out there, and that was something that was really a big deal for me.
Okay.
That was I would say like my first real kind of experience with trying to organize a community of people, right?
Right.
And I really needed a lot of help with doing that, and a lot of people who were like minded, but priorities were elsewhere. Folks got their own businesses that they run, and they have their own things going on, and
Yeah.
it failed. But I'm still connected to those people to this day, and I've collaborated with a lot of these people, and so it connected folks, and that was the success in that situation. And
There
looking
you
back
go.
now, some years have passed. I can say, okay, so the idea wasn't successful, but the impact of it is still felt.
Hmm.
And so it ended up being a great situation. And so those three things happened all in the same year. And I spent 9 months or so doing nothing art related. I didn't want to touch a paintbrush. I didn't want to go to an art show. I didn't
Wow.
want to do nothing art related. I felt like such a failure that I just kind of, I'd given up for a time, didn't make no art, no nothing. And then towards the end of that year, a friend of mine called me and they told me that they saw me as a mentor. And I'm like, you see me as a mentor, but I haven't done anything in like 9 months. Like,
Right. Right.
in what way have I because there's clearly something that you did not know
Right.
and
Right.
totally missed, right? And so that was a wake up call. And what she did was let me know that people see me,
Hmm.
people look up to me, they admire what I'm doing or what I have done, and I needed to get it together.
Yeah.
And so that was God sending me this reminder, like, hey, look, bro, you have something and you need to use it. I ain't give you this gift to just sit on it. Yeah, things may not have worked out the way you wanted it to, but you did learn from those experiences. And now here I am telling you, you need to get back in the game.
Right. That's
And
that's
so
yeah,
here
that's
I am.
inspiring, man.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, Jamari, go ahead. I've had a few questions, but
So,
you just got here,
being an
so
artist, have you ever created something and had a hard time letting go of it? In other words, leaving it alone and saying it's done.
Mm. Oh, that's every painting, man. That's every piece, bro. Like I'm very much into the experience of art making, and
Mhm.
so that experience is where I find the value. Like, granted, I'm going to sell it for what I'm selling it for, and the money is nice because I still need to make a living. I still need to pay bills and take care of my household. But the true value, the priceless part of it is the experience of solving that problem. Every art piece is a problem. You have an idea, and now you need to somehow get that idea to be a visual representation. And figuring that out, that process for me is what makes it hard to let go because I enjoy it so much. And so there are some pieces that I've prolonged. I'll admit that. There are some pieces that I can't wait to get off of my easel because I'm sick of it. Right? I have that experience too. I'm human. There's some projects that I'm really tired of, and it happens that way. But most projects that I work on are usually something where I'm like, I just like what this is developing into, and I want to keep pushing it further and further and further. But then I either have a deadline to meet, or I realize, you know what, this is taking too long, and I have other things that I need to express that may not be a good fit for this canvas. So I have to move on. I'm saying what I need to say. My audience is responding, because sometimes I'll post progress of something that I'm painting on, and I'll even ask for critique.
Mhm.
And so my message is getting across. It's successful. So now I leave it alone. I got to take it off the easel. I got to put it in a show or something, and just move on. And then I got to start it all over again. I start the process all over again. And so I still get that feeling, right? That experience, that value that I'm getting. I'm always chasing that.
Ah. So, how would you effectively convey that message to aspiring artists that may not understand the transition from creating art because it's a passion, and creating art because not only is it a passion, but you gotta also, as you said, take care of your home, make money, and eat?
Um, at the end of the day, your survival is important, and don't go homeless because you just love doing what you do and you're giving it away for free. You put time and effort into this, you buy materials, you got to keep your lights on, all those things that come with being an adult. um your passion is going to show in your work. There's nothing wrong with making money from your work. You don't have to get greedy. You just have to make work and understand that this is a business that you're in. And that's the nature of business, to make money. And if you don't want to focus on that or prioritize that, then don't call it a business and get a regular job. Don't put your work out there for sale. Just put it up for show.
Yeah,
If it's really, if it's just a passion for you, it's fine for it to be that. But don't act like you want to, make a career out of it if you don't have
Uh,
the mindset of somebody who wants to make a career.
I usually say to people like, if you can't work, if you can't do art when you don't want to do art, this ain't for you.
Yeah, because you got to
Make
keep
a
going.
Yeah, doing it as a career ain't for you. If you only can do art when you're inspired or you're in the mood, that's a hobby.
Yeah,
yeah.
because you're only doing it when you feel like it. Like I don't always feel like doing the things that I'm doing, whether it's making art, promoting art, working with artists or whatever. I don't always feel like being around people. I don't always feel like talking to people. I don't always feel like picking up my paintbrush. But this is my job now. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do what I have to do, and I'm going to, get myself motivated to get the work done. Whatever that work is on that day, because I have a lot riding on this. It's not a game when you're doing it full time. You have to be out there promoting yourself. You have to be out there showing your work, making it, interacting with people, networking, all of that. All of the things that come with running a business. Art is no different. It is a business. If you're really trying to, you're really trying to make money and be successful at it. That's what it is. You got to treat it like it's a business, and people won't take you seriously unless you do.
I'm glad you conveyed that so well. I like having these conversations with creative people, because what I am learning is, since I'm a teacher, I run into a lot of children who are creative, and I want to see if they can understand that idea, because it's like, do you really want to do this as your life's work, or do you just want to do it as a hobby?
Mm,
And there's a big, as you both have made this clear, there's a big difference between that. Javon has mentioned several times that when he was at SCAD, you had to do the same thing 1,000 times until you're sick of it, and then do it 1,000 more times after you're
yeah,
done with being sick with it. And you have just conveyed that idea beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like anything else, like it's like if you want to make the NBA, you can't just play ball when you want to play ball.
got to be out on that court
You got
every
to be
day.
on the court
You got to
every
focus.
day.
Yeah.
Like it's and even then you might not make the NBA.
Yeah.
But you definitely ain't gonna make the NBA if you're
No.
not, putting in the work and
And
a go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, just to your point about being in the NBA, right? Now I've mentioned doing stuff around my art. You know, there are other things besides making art that I do. Right.
Correct.
Same thing goes with a kid who aspires to be in the NBA. The NBA is a multi-billion-dollar organization that has many jobs and many careers within it. If the goal is to be in the NBA, it must be understood that a very small percentage of people will hit the court. However, a very high percentage of people still get paid well. And why is that? Because it's a multi-billion dollar
Yeah, that's
organization
right. That's
with
right.
many jobs and careers,
Right,
right?
right,
So you could be a
right.
coach, you could be a commentator, you could be a general manager of a team. You can be so many different things and be connected to being on the court or connected to what happens in and around the court, right? And
I
so there
mean,
has to be an
that's right,
understanding of that, especially
right.
when you go and pursue your art career. You got to understand that you're going to have to do some things that may not be directly related to making the art, but imagine being able to teach somebody how to make art and get paid for it and still be able to support your own art making, right? I teach workshops and I love to teach people concepts about art because it keeps my mind going so that I can stay in that creative mode. Then I share like how I'm doing right now with talking to y'all about being an artist and all of that. Like I've done some speaking engagements about that. I share my own story about what art has done for me and all of that. And that's another income stream. All things that are directly related to who I am and what I do. And so, you know, thinking outside of that box of, oh, I'm going to be a painter or oh, I'm going to just draw portraits and that's going to be my sole business. Like you got to have a broader scope. Otherwise, you're going to crash and burn real quick because
I know.
you're thinking
Yeah.
about this one thing and there's a whole bunch of other things that could sustain you until you get to the point where you can just make art and that's it.
And I add on to that. Number one, if you think that you're gonna just do paintings and be great and make money, you got to be a phenomenal painter. Even then, you might not just make enough money.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say is, using that NBA analogy, a lot of artists need to understand their limitations too,
Yeah.
right? Like, let's say and it's funny you talked about how like you 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 you're a better artist than you like illustrator than you are a painter, but you are still really really darn good at the painting, but you do it to get better. A lot of people, like, you might be, a decent artist, like a decent pencil artist, but you might be a really good sculptor,
Mm-hmm.
or you might be a really good painter, or you might be a really good digital artist or something like
Yep.
that. And it's like you got to find your strength
Yep.
before you take the first step into doing this as a career
Absolutely. Absolutely.
on
Lean
any
into your
level,
strengths.
because you might be screaming in the wind doing an mediocre work
Yeah.
while your amazing talent is just being wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing, using the NBA analogy. You might be a really good coach, you might have the mind to be a coach, but you 5'8", trying to be in the league. and,
Yep.
um, and you, at some point, you just got to be realistic with
Yeah.
yourself and
Yeah.
be like, just let me figure out my lane within the art world, and then it so much will open up to you once you figure out that lane.
Absolutely.
Like, I could literally try and be a painter. I'd be all right at it, but I don't think I would be successful at it. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
You got to do the
Right,
things that make you
right.
feel alive.
But this comic book thing,
You know?
doing all right. So
If
I'm gonna ride this bad boy.
that's the thing that if that's the thing that's working for you and it really, like, it keeps you motivated and like I said, it makes you feel alive.
Because
That's what you need to do.
I'm with you on that because that corporate world. I mean, I'm still in the corporate world a little bit, but for my own particular
Mhm.
reasons. But like, I everybody knows me. The corporate world, and even then, like my job is in sports, so I kind of have like a side, like a love of it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I get to be close enough to something that I love, but it don't make me, like energetic to wake up in the morning, like
Yeah.
sitting down and doing a page.
Well,
So
I
for
worked in aerospace, and I'll keep it real. I struggled to stay interested.
bro, let me tell you, I had a job in healthcare.
Mm.
I was depressed like like every day, like every day. To this day, real
It's
talk, real talk, real talk.
yeah.
To this day, I still have anxiety induced dreams about
Wow.
losing my job and having to crawl back to my old job. Now I like
Mm.
the people in the job. It's got nothing to do with the
It's the
people.
work.
It's the
Just the
work. Like
work
I
itself.
legitimately have
Yeah.
nightmares about it.
Yeah.
So
Same. Well, I don't know about nightmares, but I
nah,
had
I have nightmares.
I worked in this corporate job around folks that I had trouble relating to. They weren't bad people, although the
They
culture
just weren't your, they weren't your people.
the culture encouraged them to be bad people, but that's another conversation. Um, I could not relate because I didn't share the same interests. I didn't share the same passion that they had
Right,
for this very engineering centric kind of company, right? It
right, right.
worked around a bunch of people who were into physics and science and math and making things go really fast and stay in the air, right? So it's cool, like it's great. Like I think it was some of the coolest stuff ever, right? But
Chill, Gary.
I'm only going to stay surface level with it. I don't care about the parts in it. I care that the thing works, right?
Man, let me tell you, when I was in that healthcare job,
Uh,
something would go wrong and everybody would like kind of freak out. Like it'd be like a thing. And I'd be sitting there like, I mean, we can fix it, right? Like,
like,
what's
I
everybody getting mad about? Like, why are y'all freaking out, man? This is no big deal. Like, it's not
yeah,
that big a
yeah,
deal. Like, whatever. And like, and I think there was like, I was with you. Like, there's that disconnect
yeah,
because, like, if something goes wrong with like a painting, like for
yeah,
you, there's a different response. Whereas if something goes wrong at that aerospace job, you'd be like,
yeah. Something go wrong with a painting. I get it. I get excited because now one, I'm spending more time painting because I got to figure it out.
there you go.
But two, like I'm testing my knowledge. I'm testing my skill in fixing that problem.
Mm-hmm.
In aerospace, I didn't know enough to really solve anything. Like I'm very analytical, so I worked as a quality auditor and I looked at
Okay.
processes and stuff like that. So that was very interesting to me, that type of work. And then I got into some continuous improvement stuff. But that that experience, I was headed in a direction that was more interesting for me. But going back to those signs when I knew it was time for me to leave, the opportunities that I thought were going to be there literally disappeared into thin air.
Mm.
Like there was a path for me, and then all of a sudden it was gone. So again, God telling me you need to go into this direction and not that
Mm-hmm.
one, right? And so I just took it as another sign. Um, so I found a a thing that was interesting, but it still wasn't enough to really keep me there. Like it was kind of go do what you know
Yeah,
do the thing that makes you feel yourself, right?
right, right,
Actually, it allows you to be yourself, right?
right, right.
I couldn't be myself in corporate America, no matter what company I was working at. It could have been, I don't know, it could have been insurance and not
Yep,
aerospace. I probably
yep.
still wouldn't have been comfortable because I wasn't being myself. I wasn't doing the things that I was supposed to do. And a friend from work actually said when I told her that I was leaving, she was like, you were making yourself small here. You're really a giant, and I don't understand why you were doing it so long.
That's
I'm
crazy. The
like,
same thing
wow,
happened. The same thing happened
like
to me.
that's that that kind of that hit me. Like I really was kind of suppressing a lot of who I am because I was I was really walking on eggshells because I didn't want to like say or do the wrong thing because
Right.
I don't act the same as everybody in that environment. I don't think the same. I tend to be a little more rough around the edges in terms of how I communicate, and I don't care for office politics. I ignore them actually. So having that experience and having somebody tell me that was like confirmation, like I'm not being myself, and I need to go. I need to go where I can be free.
Man, listen, when I gave my 2 weeks and people found out I gave my 2 weeks, I can't tell you how many people were like, this is probably for the best because you weren't supposed to be here.
Same. I thought I was gonna have a bunch of haters. I thought folks was gonna be like trying to make my last
Yeah.
few weeks or whatever on the job hell because I'm putting all this work on them. Whatever. None of that happened.
Nope.
Like my boss's boss's boss was like,
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I did not get any negativity whatsoever. And anybody who thought something negative, they just didn't say anything to me. They were just silent. And that's fine. I didn't need it anyway.
It's so crazy because, you know, I was going from that job in healthcare to the one I have now, which I do in sports. And everybody in the office knew I love sports. Like everybody in the office knew I love sports. Like I was all about football, basketball. I would talk to everybody about it.
Yeah.
So then I would tell people, and they're like, "Nah, you're good. That's where you belong." And it was like, you know, that's when you just like know, and that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's like everybody see it, but you couldn't. But there's something that makes you stand out in this place. Like I had mentors, like I would have been on a pathway to becoming an executive eventually. I had mentors who were high level VPs.
Right.
I was able to, you know, I had access to the president of the company. I had, you know, I had a way, right? I had a way to a very lucrative career.
It wasn't your way.
It wasn't my way. And even the VPs that were my mentors, both of them were like, you know, I can't really argue with you, dream. Like, what can you say to that? And then another one I met with recently, actually, I still keep in touch with some of these people that I was connected to at the old job. Because, you know, again, like I said, I worked with good people, and I was able to connect with good people.
Good.
And the folks who I connected with the most are obviously the ones that I'm going to keep in touch with. And I genuinely, you know, want them to be okay. Right. So I check in. So the folks that I've checked in with, you know, they're very happy to see me doing all these great things and everything. And some of them were like, man, you should have did this sooner. In retrospect, yes, I should have. I should have done it long before I had that opportunity I told you about earlier.
Right.
Things were waiting for me. This passion, this calling of mine was waiting for me.
But you know what though?
You
probably shouldn't have done it sooner.
Why you say that?
I'm gonna say this is why I say you wouldn't do it sooner. Because, like I said, everything happens for a reason, and every season happens for a reason too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you probably weren't mentally in the right space to do it earlier.
Well,
like
no, I wasn't. I wasn't.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the right mental space. And the truth is, in order for me to have done it earlier, I would have had to believe in myself more. I needed some things to happen to show me that I could do it. But the truth is, I could do it all along. And that's why I say I could have done this earlier. Because all of these things happened for me because somebody believed that I can do it and I would be fine.
Yeah.
So the possibility was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the possibility, but I was just talking about like maturity and mentality and everything.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my own experience, even with my own comic book, like me doing it earlier when I was not at the artistic level and the drive level to do it. You know, like I had to go through some stuff.
Yeah.
Before I got to the time and the place where it was time to do it. You know what I mean? Like I could have done it early and I might have flamed out harder than I did before. You know what I mean? Because I've talked about my my terrible comic that exists out there in some world, and some people have it, and it's probably in trash cans everywhere. But but it was a bad. It was that it was me. It was actually the opposite. I was overconfident. Like I thought I was going to do this comic and people were just going to throw jobs at me,
Mm,
and I just had the wrong mentality. And I personally felt like I had to go through some stuff
mm.
before I got here, which put me in the
You
right
had to grow up a
mentality to,
little more.
yeah, I had to just grow a little more. Like I was what, 20, 24, 20, it was like 25, 26 when
Mm,
I first tried that, and I had to go through some stuff.
yeah.
And I can't speak for your life, but it's maybe you had to go through some things
Yeah.
to
Well, the
not
first,
only you know get there, but appreciate it.
yeah. The,
you
the
know
the first time that I tried to focus on art full time, I didn't have a plan, and that was that was in my early 20s. I didn't have a plan. I
Right.
thought, oh, I make art, I'm going to put it on somebody's wall, and then all of a sudden the business will come, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
thinking
yeah.
that all I had to do was make art, and then fast forward to now, I was able to finish my degree, my
Hmm.
bachelor's degree, right? Got my BA in studio art. I then went on to get a master's degree in organizational leadership. I wasn't able to use that master's degree in my corporate career. Just having a degree would have pushed me forward career wise, but they don't really give you that many opportunities to apply the knowledge that you gained in this,
Right.
right? But I'm using that degree pretty much every day. I was always using my art degree, but that master's degree, here I am working as a full-time artist, and it's coming to you. It's something I can use, right? I'm
Right.
using
Right.
it every single day. I'm leaning on that knowledge that I gained in that process of pursuing that master's degree in something non-art related, and I have an advantage now. I have almost 10 years of corporate experience in understanding how large businesses work.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I understand more about how a large business will work, then I can certainly understand how my small business can grow.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
So, working in the field, the part of corporate that I went in, right? Quality, auditing processes,
Hmm.
understanding what it's like to work with suppliers
Hmm. Hmm.
and continuous improvement. These are all things that are directly applicable to what I do as an artist. I make things.
Hmm.
I manufacture art at the end of the day.
Hmm.
There's a
Hmm.
process to doing it. I can find ways to improve that process. All of this stuff is applicable to my work now. So you're right, that there was some growing that had to happen. I had to get this experience to be where I'm at in order to do the things that I'm currently pursuing. Um, I just feel like because I had the skills and I did have the knowledge, had my eyes been opened a little wider, maybe a few years ago, I could have taken the leap a little earlier.
No, I'm with you. Like I'm with you. Feel the same. Like you and I have very
Mm.
similar instances. I'm a project manager. I'm a
Okay.
product manager now, but I was a
Okay.
project manager there. So I learned about like
So there you go.
deadlines and
Mhm.
resource management and everything. And I still use that information. I mean,
Yeah.
in my full time and my my part time gig. So, and I'm with you. Like if I had a little more knowledge back then and a little more humility, I probably could have done it before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm right there with you. I want to get into the weeds a little bit.
Okay.
Um, I want to talk about your art. I
Okay.
want to talk about first thing. Tell me about the origin. Now I'm gonna start. I'm gonna cycle to some of the pictures I've already seen. That I've already posted. But I want you to talk about your style. Like,
Mm.
where do you like talk about the origins of your style?
Mm. So let's talk about color, right? I love vibrant, highly saturated colors. There's
Me
something
too.
about just having that in my painting. Like they got to pop, they got to stand out and be in your face. And then high contrast. I not only like my colors to be vibrant, but I like my darks really dark. I like my lights really, really light. And I need you to be I need you to see this work from across the room. It's all about drawing your attention, right? And color also means things, right? I do a workshop on color theory, and I use colors a specific way because it sends a certain message. And when I want to convey a message, the color is usually how I do it,
Mhm.
because sometimes it's a personal thing. Sometimes it's something from my own life experience that I'm trying to allude to. Actually, this picture that you're showing right now, this is all about my corporate experience. It's called the tree
I
from
see
which
it.
we hang ourselves.
You know, it's funny. I saw the artwork before, like,
Uh,
because I've obviously I've looked through all these, and then as you were talking, I'm like, I get it. As soon as you started talking about your experiences, I was like, I get it. I get
yeah.
it.
So with that one, we can talk about symbolism, right? So it begins with the color to draw you in, and creating a certain feeling, and then there's this symbolism behind it, right? And in this particular piece, you have the neckties, right? You have the noose.
Mhm.
There's obviously the connection between the two. But when you see that white power chair in the background, and the shadow being the tree from which you hang yourself, it's about code switching.
Mm.
That whole piece is all about code switching and killing parts of yourself so that you can fit in, and follow along in this shadow of this high powered individual who is probably going to be an old white man, uh, and thinking that that's how you have to be in order to progress in your career in that environment. And you'll notice that there's that background, that white
Stark white.
background, the
Yeah.
stark white background. It's uncomfortably white. I'm a person of color who has been in an environment in which he had to subdue himself in order to fit in. Now, most of the details inside of that noose. Again, a tree from which we hang ourselves. It's subduing parts of yourself, literally killing parts of yourself to become someone else in order to have this perceived success.
Mm.
And so, we go into this type of symbolism. I don't do a lot of paintings like this. I just happen to have been going through something in my corporate experience when I made that piece.
Mhm.
Um, but that type of stuff shows up in my work a lot, where I'm alluding to something that may be very emotional. That one was a bit more direct messaging. Usually my work is about the emotion behind a certain experience. um, there's a certain depiction of people. Usually I don't put a face on the person, unless it's either me or I want you to know the subject. Um,
Can you talk about this piece? Because I love this one. I love it, and honestly, like I don't. You gotta let me know if you sold it.
it's not on my screen yet. Oh, this one. Okay. So this is called Life in Depth. And I actually did this for an exhibit that was called Life and Death. And that's life and death. And you had to interpret that theme. And at the time, there was a lot of conflict going on in the Gaza Strip, and it was in the news all the time. And so I wanted to make a piece about that. And so what you have is a pregnant woman who is bringing life into a war zone. All of this chaos and madness and death and destruction is happening around this person, and yet that still doesn't keep them. It doesn't stop them from giving life. It doesn't stop people from making babies just because there's a war going on. And I just wanted to show that this person is going to birth a child into a world that is just destructive, and is just there's not much but debris for them to be birthed into, and that child has to make a life for themselves. They have to
So
grow up in that.
there's something you did in here, and I don't know if you did it on purpose
Mhm.
or if it's subconscious. But there, there's if you look at the orange part, like the
Mhm.
with the fire, it almost looks like a person pointing at the baby.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I didn't do that on purpose.
You could have that though.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I didn't do that on purpose. That wasn't my choice.
It almost looks like a person like pointing at the baby.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I do love the contrast between the soft and the harsh, right? Like the in the way you're doing it, you have the soft human being, obviously.
Yep.
But you have this almost like a stark contrast in the lights. So it's like a hard contrast in the lights and the darks. But then you contrast it with harsh symbols like smoke and fire. But smoke is generally soft. It's a soft look, but it looks harsh. And I mean, I love this one. Have you sold it?
Thank you. No, actually, this is not sold yet.
Man, we gotta talk about that, man.
Okay.
We might have to talk. We might have to talk.
We could definitely talk about it.
Because I need something from my man cave, man. We might have to talk, man. We might have to talk. This is a beautiful piece. Jamar, you got a question? I'm gonna cycle through some of these.
This one stuck out to me right here. What that when you were cycling through that one, where does this one come from?
So this is actually a self-portrait. That is me that you see in this painting. It's called Contemplation, and this is about learning to dream again. And I had a lot going on in my life at that time. I actually cut my locks off while I was painting the piece, and so I worked from pictures out of my cell phone. It is also the first portrait that I had done and shown publicly outside of my senior show at UConn. So this is actually 2 years after I left UConn. And so I'm going through all this stuff and kind of really literally contemplating where I am, what's going on in my life, why I haven't achieved the goals that I set out to achieve, and how am I going to get back on track? How am I going to get to where I want to be? And I have my head in the clouds because I'm learning to dream again. I'm going back to the essence of what got me up to a point where I'm showing my work publicly, and I'm sticking around with this painting thing. And now I didn't know where I wanted to go with it. I didn't know what I wanted to do because I just had stuff that just wasn't working out for me, and I needed to make a change. And so I needed to capture that moment of transition, and that's what Contemplation is all about.
I love the natural colors. You know what I mean? Like there's a natural, organic nature to the colors. You're using like earthy tones, but you're among your head is. I'm assuming your head is in the clouds.
Yeah.
Okay, so but it's interesting because you don't have the general like the stark blue background or anything like that for it. You're still keeping it. It's almost like your head is in the clouds, but you're still grounded on the earth. These are great, man. I'm gonna keep going. This one was cool.
So this is a commission that I did. This is actually Dr. Steve Perry and his family. Okay. And I was painting live at this event called Hot Chocolate Soul. And
Hot Chocolate Soul.
So there's a whole story around this, right? So I was asked by the host of Hot Chocolate Soul, June Archer. I was asked to paint live and create a portrait of his special guest for the evening, who happened to be the singer of Monifa. I don't know if you remember Monifa from
Monifa.
Dope singer, dope person, actually. She's mad cool. So she and her wife were there. I did the portrait, presented the portrait to her on stage, and like I said, I was doing the portrait live or whatever, and Dr. Perry had walked up to me towards the end of the event, and he just said, "Hey man, I like what you're doing. I would like to commission something for I think he said something for his wife, right?" And I thought nothing of it because I get people walking up to me all the time saying that they want me to do a painting for them. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter who they are. Like, I get it all the time. So I didn't think anything of this, right? Sure enough, about 3 weeks later, This man calls my phone at like 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday. It was like, hey man, sorry I called you so late. That's the only time I have, blah, blah, blah. It's Steve Perry. I'm like,
Who?
okay. So maybe he was serious, right? And so he he commissioned this portrait. I worked on it for him, hand delivered it to his house. And when at the time of delivery, he had asked me to also bring another painting out of my portfolio. It was at the time the largest painting that I had ever done. It was a 3 by 4 foot canvas. It was a portrait of a model who used to live up here, and he said, "Yeah, bring that down. I want to see it in person." Uh, so of course, because now I can take him seriously, I did.
Right,
so,
right.
so I brought it with me. He's looking over it and everything. I gave him the price. We negotiated a little bit. I gave him a little discount on it. I'm like, okay, well, you did commission a family portrait, right? Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
And he bought it off me right then and there, and invited me to also show my work at his Christmas party that year,
That's
which was
beautiful, man.
at his house.
Mm,
And I was able to meet some very influential people that evening, and I had a great time. And it was really nice of him to welcome me in his home like that. And that was just it was a great experience. Another confirmation that I got something, and I need to keep doing it. Now, the best part of this story though is that is also the year I proposed to my wife. And had it not been for this commission and the purchase of that very large painting, which was much more than this commission, by the way, I would not have been able to purchase the engagement ring that I proposed with.
them things are a beast, aren't they?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, they cost a lot of money.
Oh my gosh.
And
Like,
so this job here, and this is actually the reason why I keep it on my website too. It's an important painting for me because had I not met Steve Perry, I probably would not have proposed to my wife that year because I
mm.
was still been saving money and everything, and I ended up proposing to my wife on New Year's Eve of that year.
Now you guys are married, right?
Yeah, we've been married
Okay,
5 years
okay.
now.
5 years, right? Oh, okay.
Mhm,
You about where we are. You about where we are. So,
mhm.
give your wife some shine. Talk to me about your wife and her support to your career.
So, to my surprise, she pushed me in the direction of leaving my job, and this is somebody who is very, very cautious and loves her security. And I'd known this about her throughout our entire relationship, and I started talking about what I would like to do, and it was no surprise to her. I told her, at some point I'm going to leave this corporate job. I will not retire from this company. I'm going to leave. Right. I've been telling her this for years. I told everybody for years. I'd be surprised if anybody thought that I was going to stay in corporate America for a long time. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, it got to a point where I was talking a lot about leaving, and I would ask her, what her thoughts are on it and everything, and she was like, "You should do it. Just do it." And it kind of scared me because I've been pushing her to leave her job
Mm.
because she owns a business. She's an entrepreneur. She owns a spa in Bloomfield,
Okay.
and I've been pushing for her to leave
Oh,
her
you
job.
can plug it. Go ahead, plug her spot.
Well, Escape Massage and Aesthetic Studio, escapemts.com. That is my wife's spa. Her name is Shawnee Rochester.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Okay. Go
so,
ahead. Go.
you know,
Talk your ish, man. Talk your ish.
so she owns her spa, and I've been wanting her to, leave her job, and I was going to stick around in my job to take care of home
Offset it.
while she gets settled and doing her thing full time to, offset the costs and all that stuff. And make a long story short, I end up being the person who left their job. And luckily, of course, by the grace of God, I have not missed a meal or a bill this entire time. So our lifestyle did not have to change.
Mm,
And she's still running her spa. I'm still
mm.
pushing for her to start working on that exit strategy. It'll happen when she's ready to.
Did you
Uh,
want her to stop her own business?
no, hell no. I want her to stop working a part-time job that
Oh, I
she's
see
doing
what you mean.
so that
Okay, all
she
right,
can
and
run
do
her
that full
business.
time. Do that
Nah, I
full
want her
time.
to do her business full time, man.
Got you. All right, all
I
right,
want
all right,
that
all right.
thing to grow.
All right, all right, all right. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
I would
That's
never tell
beautiful,
her.
man.
I would never tell
That's
her to stop
beautiful.
her dream. She ain't tell me to stop mine.
That's beautiful, man. Because I talk to my wife is a very corporate person.
Mhm.
She's very corporate mentality, um, and like I can understand how because like you got to give
Mhm.
partners of creative people like if you get in the weeds with
We put them
married
through a lot.
somebody, huh?
I said we put them through a lot.
Yeah, it's not. We put it through a lot, but that's marriage. That's a relationship. But I mean, in general, this because we all have this like burning desire in us to create,
Hmm.
right? Like I tell people, I joke with people all the time. I wish I didn't have it. I wish I was comfortable doing, the corporate job where you make money and you go up the corporate ladder and it's very A to B.
But that's normal
Um,
people stuff, man.
right. But like when you're a creative person, it's like I have to do this thing. Like I
Yeah.
have to do it. And if you don't do it, like it frustrates you and it
Yep.
depresses you
Yep.
and it puts you in a terrible headspace. And you to be with somebody like that, especially if you're not like a entrepreneurial or creative person. Now, clearly your wife is entrepreneurial, so that helped because she's got that entrepreneurial mentality that all right, well, I know how you feel, so I want to do it. But I know a lot of people, like, it can be really tough
Yeah.
to hear somebody say, I'm going to do this thing here that has no guarantees
Mm.
and no what's the word I'm looking for, no there's nothing. What's when people who I lost the word, net, there's no net.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to go out and do this thing that, because like you said, you create product. You're basically saying, I'm going to do something that doesn't exist, make it exist, and then get people to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. That
You
is it
know,
in a nutshell.
right? Like,
And,
and it's a
yep.
hard thing to sell
Yep.
to somebody. Even my comic book, like my comic was a hard thing. It wasn't a hard thing to sell for my wife, but it was almost one of those things where for her, I feel like it was more, I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm.
Show me you do it, and then I'll believe it. And then I did it, and then it manifested itself, and it
Yeah.
became easier and easier to, you know, to buy into. Because
Mm.
a lot of people talk, there's a lot of people who give a lot of talk about,
Yeah.
oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. And
Well, she
the,
knew it wasn't all talk over here. I met my
hey,
wife painting, so yeah, she knew what it was. What she got with me.
yeah. So there's one thing I want to talk about before we do
Mhm.
um our final section of the show.
Okay.
Um, as we've talked about, you're going to be a dad.
Yep.
How do you feel that will affect you in your career? Like, I'm asking how you feel. I can talk about what I think might happen, but I'm like, how do you feel? Like, what do you project for that you'll have to do?
I feel like I'm probably not going to be outside as much as I have been this year, but it will be a good thing though because I want to shift to a point where I am doing 50% art making and 50% other stuff. So this may end up being the push that I need to go in that direction. I also feel like I'm going to have to uh, really be selective about the types of projects that I'm taking on with regards to the level of compensation as well as the amount of time commitment that it
Hmm.
requires
Hmm.
because I'm going to have a newborn, and the focus will be on this newborn child. And whatever is needed for my baby will have to get taken care of first and foremost. So I'm glad that I do have flexibility, and I can, I can make adjustments, but I do need to pay close attention to the type of work that's coming my way and make sure that it's going to be worthwhile for my family.
Okay. Yeah, that's about right. I would build in time
Uh-huh.
for sickness. Kids
Mm.
get sick, and they will give you whatever it is that they have.
This I know. Having worked around kids, I know.
Man, listen, man. My son gave me what is it, hand, foot, and mouth
uh,
disease, and I was like, I didn't think adults can get this, and they're like,
wow.
they don't normally do, but you got it, and I
That is
wouldn't wish
insane.
that on nobody.
Mm.
I would say get your rest in when you can.
Yeah.
You might, because I know for me, I had to do a lot of working at night.
Mm.
With my son. I would have to, and you're just check on your wife, man. Because moms have a lot, and
Yeah.
just making sure you're maintaining that. But first and foremost, like y'all make sure y'all each other are good.
Mm.
Like the baby is y'all priority, but is you collectively your
Yeah.
priority. But you got to make sure the both of you good, because you don't want somebody to feel like they're doing more, or they're not being held or heard or felt or whatever. Because it can be a really stressful period.
Yeah. I
You
appreciate
know,
that advice, man. I'm
hey man,
taking
I'm
I'm
just
taking
telling you what
all I can get.
I'm just telling you what I went through,
this,
man. Like
this is my
you
first
know.
kid, and I'm taking all the advice that I can get, man.
You're gonna have to deal with well, I'm not gonna say you're gonna have to deal with. There's a possibility that
Yeah.
you could deal with, like my wife, the air conditioner was always on.
Mm.
Always. And it could be friggin' cold outside.
Mm.
And it was always on. Like everybody in the family was walking around. My daughters walking around with like their blankets, and my wife talking about, why am I so hot? And I'm just like, bro, we freezing over here.
Yeah,
Like,
we going through that right now.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, man. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, just always like, it's you just be prepared, because and then when you have the kid, you're gonna love them. But just understand that they are mirrors.
mm,
They are straight mirrors. So
mm,
whatever you say,
yeah.
whatever you do, however you act, they will do. Like my son copies everything that I do.
Wow.
Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's like, don't say that word. Like I can't. I had to stop watching football
Uh,
around. Like I had to relearn how to watch football,
wow.
because like I would sit with him, and like Jamari knows me. When I get into the
The next thing you
Patriots
know, you
game,
drop the F-bombs, and then you hear a little one
bro,
pop up.
man, I was like,
Oh
just
man.
I used to have a pillow that I would throw. It was about that big, and anytime something went wrong, would flying, because it was the only safe thing I could throw.
yeah, it's just they mirrors, man. They say what you say, they act how they act. I don't know if do you guys know what you're having?
Yeah, we're gonna have a boy.
Woo, bruh,
Mm.
listen to me. You better invest in some Red Bull,
Uh-oh.
because they wake up ready to play.
Mm.
Now you might get lucky, you might get a chill, laid back kid. My son
I'm
wake
hoping
up
he
ready
like
to
me.
play.
I'm
Bruh,
chilling, laid back.
my son wake up ready to play. Like, it's morning time. All right, where my toys at? Where's daddy at? Because you're the big toy, man.
Mm.
That's who you are, man. You're the thing that they gonna jump on. You're the thing that and it's all love though. It's fun. I get tired, but like I said, I got that Starbucks Frappuccino. Wake me up. Let's go. But once again, congratulations. We're not gonna do the top 5 today. I got to take off, but I do want to give you an opportunity to tell people what you got coming up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So, as you know, you can go to andrerochester.com to view all my work. Make sure you also follow me on Instagram. That's Dre B Painting. It's Rochester Fine Art if you want to follow my business page on Facebook. Or maybe I'll accept your friend request if you follow Dre B Painting on Facebook. Um, things that I got coming up. So, actually, we'll talk about what's happening right now. We just had a press conference this morning for the unveiling of a large art initiative that I've been working on with 30 artists from the greater Hartford area. It's called Hartford Love. And basically, those 30 artists were presented with a paid opportunity to design artwork to go on bus shelters and electrical boxes
Yeah, I heard about that.
up and down Albany Avenue. The bus shelters have been installed. The electrical boxes will be installed within the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for that. There will be a bunch of artwork popping up all along that corridor there. I am the project lead for this. My artwork is not in this.
Okay.
The behind the scenes guy. Remember, I told you I like to do
Hey.
some artwork as well, right?
Yeah.
So, you talked about some project management. That's exactly what this was. I'm also in charge of the Artists of Color Accelerate Fellowship, which is a partnership between the 224 EcoSpace and the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. We're currently seeking funding for our second cohort. I was in the first cohort, so I took on the role of program manager. So coming up early 2023, we are looking forward to having cohort 2 begin. Let's see what else. Oh, this image here on my shirt that says Hartford. This is going to be a billboard, and I just found out that they are installing the billboard on Monday morning. So I'm very excited to share that. This was an opportunity that was brought to me. It's a blessing that came to me a few months ago, and the company that owns the billboard, they want to attract people to their space to advertise, and so they were gracious enough to allow artists to take up some of that space for a few months.
Awesome.
There was another artist who was there not that long ago. Actually, I think last year she had the billboard. Now I'm going to have it for the next few months after Monday.
Awesome.
Hopefully they extend it a little bit. It's a billboard that's right next to the train station downtown.
Okay.
Be able to miss it. You'll be driving by and you'll definitely see it.
Okay.
See it. Hopefully they put it on a digital billboard. I don't know if they move forward with that or not, but I sent in something that was formatted for that anyway. So fingers crossed on that. Let's hope that they do that, because who doesn't want to have a big old Hartford sign to welcome them when they come into the city, right?
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, that was a huge thing for me. I dreamed of having something on a billboard, and this was offered to me. So another dream come true kind of situation. What else I got? I have some paintings that I'm working on, some very large paintings, 9-foot painting that will go into a health center.
I can't talk to you right now. I'm listening. You see what I'm talking about, man. This is it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like your squishy burger.
Man. I got a lot of stuff happening. It's nonstop. I stay busy. I have to. This is my livelihood. So
Hey.
A lot of great projects, a lot of good things happening. I look forward to working with more artists and collaborating with organizations. So,
hey man, you need to reach out to me, man. I know we've talked about it here and there, but holler at me, man. We could do something, man.
Let's absolutely do that.
Always up to doing something, especially for Hartford. I don't get to do as much as I want to around the city, but let me know, man. I'm here.
Cool. Well, next time we have a public initiative like this, make sure you're looking out and you submit some work, man.
Man, you gotta let me know, man. Just like slide in the DMs. Yeah, man. Let me know, because I be in my bubble.
As soon as I'm informed about it,
I'll be in my bubble. That's my problem, man. I'll be behind my drawing table, or I'll be preparing for a podcast.
You like me, not coming out the cave enough, man. now I have to be. So
I know, man. If I'm not preparing for a podcast, I'm working on the next book. If I'm not working on the next book, I'm preparing for a Comic-Con. So, if I'm preparing for an interview. So, just let me know, man. Let me know. But yeah, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You're an amazing artist, and like I said, I'm gonna holler at you about that painting. Just put it to the side. Just don't show nobody else, man. Don't show
It's in the
nobody else.
studio waiting for you, bro.
All right. But thank you for stopping by, man. I'm glad we were able to talk. I love talking shop with artists, and I love talking shop with artists who do mediums that I'm not good at, because it always encouraged me to get off my butt and expand as an artist. So, thank you for stopping by. As always, everybody, AndreRochester.com. You can see all this beautiful artwork, as well as, anything else that a lot of stuff that Andre talked about today. I'm pretty sure it's on the website. And, if you're in Connecticut and you see him around, man, buy some artwork, man. Come on, buy some artwork. He be around.
Buy some merchandise from my store. I got a whole store with at least 50 items for you to choose from.
50 items. Y'all ain't got no excuse.
I got a lot of stuff on there. There's something there for everybody.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining the Stoked podcast. Everybody who stopped by.
Appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. For next week, just letting everybody know, we'll be talking to William Sattersight, acclaimed comic book artist and writer. Looking forward to that. And thank y'all for stopping by early. I'm about to literally get off this call and run to the Buffalo Wild Wings nearest me. So everybody enjoy the NFL game, enjoy your weekend, and thank you for watching a Stoked podcast, creative talk with creative people. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, take care.